The second chapter is about the filth things. So we started with the water, which is the tool that we use to do wudu or ghusl. And then we spoke about the things that can make it unclean. So it's now the time that they talk about how can get things clean, or how things are the things that are filth in Islam. فصل في ذكر شيء من الأعيان المتنجسة وما يطهر منها بالدباغ وما لا يطهر. So now we're going to talk about these filthy things and what can be cleaned by teeing them, like the skin of the animal. If the animal is slaughtered, is the skin clean or not? And if the skin is unclean, how can we make it clean? And why they are talking about that? Because sometimes they used to pray, there was not carpets, so they used the animal skin, so they can use it as carpets at the time. And he says وجلود الميتة كلها تطهر بالدباغ سواء في ذلك ميتة مأكول اللحم وغيره. So he says that the animal, if it's slaughtered and it's halal to eat, as soon as it's slaughtered, the skin is clean. So you can actually use that for anything. But if it's dead animal, now he says that the skin can be actually get clean by tanned, which like they put it in salt and clean any meat, clean any fat, and then they put it in salt and it's dry, and then it's clean after this tan process. And he says everything that can be actually clean except the إلا جلد الكلب والخنزير وما تولد منهما أو من أحدهما, except the skin of a dog or a pig, or anything can be or their offsprings. So these are in the Shafi'i madhab, that like dogs and the pigs are filth. So they are filthy, so they cannot be used for anything, even their skin, their hair, anything. And why they are filth? Because the khanzir, the pigs, are mentioned in the Quran. So there are many verses in the Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibited Muslims to eat pork. So that's how they think about everything that includes pigs or pork. It cannot be halal for any use. In the Shafi'i madhab, also the Prophet ﷺ asked people to, if the dog eats or drinks from a dish or something, and you want to use it, you have to clean it 7 times. And one of them is with dust. So they think that dogs and pigs are very impure, and that's why there is a lot of hadith and verses about them. Is that in all the madhab? No. Because there are, in the Maliki madhab, for example, Imam Malik thinks that every living creature that has a spirit, and every creature that has a spirit from Allah is clean. So it's pure. So why Allah asked us not to eat pork? For just to apply what Allah wants from us, or maybe for medical reasons. And the dogs is the same. And in Maliki madhab, there are a lot of hadith talks about the dogs that they were actually running inside the masjid of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Prophet ﷺ didn't ask them to kill any dogs or any, except if it's harming people around them. So he says that when we clean the dogs, the dish that the dogs eats or drinks from, it's for medical reasons, as he understands it. It's not because it's filth. So this is in the Maliki madhab. But in the Shafi'i madhab, it's the very conservative madhab about dogs and pork or pigs. They think even if it touches you, that's still like filth, because they think it's, the Prophet ﷺ says about the saliva of the dog, but the saliva is mixed with the body, with the hair, so it's everything in the Shafi'i madhab. In the Maliki and other madhab, it's only the saliva is the unclean, but other than that is not. Like if a dog touches you, it's okay in the all madhab, except the Shafi'i madhab. And he says, إلا الآدمي. So وعظم الميتة وشعرها نجس إلا الآدمي. He says that any bones or hair is filth from a dead animal or a dead thing except the human beings. So in the human beings, if they are dead, you cannot say they are filth or not, like everything is clean about human beings. So we talked about what we use to make wudu and why the rationality of the book is the first thing that we need to talk about is salah. And because of that, what's the first thing you need to do before to be able to do the salah is wudu. So to make wudu, you need to use water. So he started with talking about water, and if you want to use water, what can make the water unclean, and then if you want to use water, how are you going to use it? You need like dash, pot, something to put the water in. So now the chapter is talking about what is allowed and not allowed to use to put water in. And he says, فصل في بيان ما يحرم استعماله من الأواني وما يجوز وبدأ بالأول فقط. So now the chapter about what is haram, what is illegal to use to put water in, and what is allowed. And he started with ولا يجوز في غير ضرورة لرجل أو امرأة استعمال شيء من أواني الذهب أو الفضة. So it's illegal to use any silver or gold, silverware or pots or dishes in general for men and women, except for if there is some like necessity, like a medical reason or something. This is the only thing that they can use. But other than that, it's haram. And why the Prophet ﷺ says it's haram to use this, because it makes the poor people are very depressed, and they are very like, why other people cannot find water or find something to eat, and you are eating in dishes or still using silverware from silver and gold. That's why it's haram. And he says لا في أكل ولا في شرب ولا غيرهما وكما يحرم استعمال ما ذكر يحرم استعماله أو اتخاذه من غير استعمال في الأصح. So he says that's not allowed to use the gold or silverware or dishes or anything that made from gold and silver for eating, drinking, or for making wudu, or even just for decoration if somebody is having some gold and silver. And he says this is the best opinion in the madhab. So there is another opinion that if people can use it for decoration, but they cannot use it for eating and drinking, because there is a hadith about eating and drinking only. And some scholars says it's about the Prophet ﷺ says that because usually people know gold and silver, but if you have something expensive like diamond, silverware or something, nobody will know if this is silver or not. And then he says ويجوز استعمال إناء غيرهما أي غير الذهب والفضة من الأواني النفيسة كإناء الياقوت. He says you can actually use anything else other than gold and silver for eating and drinking even if it was more expensive, like diamond, for example, because usually people don't understand if this is diamond or not if you didn't tell them. ويحرم الإناء المضبب بمضبة فضة كبيرة عرفا لزينة، فإن كانت كبيرة لحاجة جاز مع الكراهة أو غيره، أو صغيرة عرفا لزينة كرهت أو لحاجة فلا تكره، أما ضبة الذهب فتحرم مطلقا كما صححه النووي. Then he says, okay, what if there is in the past, if they have a very precious cup or pot or something and it's broken, they can fix it with silver or with gold. So he says here, and if somebody fixed that broken dish or cup with gold, it's haram to use. And if it's with silver and it's small, they can use it. If it's very big, obvious, they cannot use it for eating and drinking or anything else. Then he started to talk about another chapter, which is as-siwak. Miswak, it's a tree that the Prophet ﷺ recommended us to use in many times. That's what we're going to talk about now. So it's like toothbrush. How are we going to use the toothbrush? He says, فصل في استعمال آلة السواك وهي من سنن الوضوء. So it's a recommendation in the wudu, when we do wudu, one of the recommendation is to use the miswak. ويطلق السواك أيضا على ما يستاك به من أراك ونحوه. And he says that the miswak is a general way in the Shafi'i madhab. He says it's a general word that is used for anything that used to clean the teeth, like the arak, the tree that's called, it's called arak, this tree that the Prophet ﷺ talked about. But he says wanahwi, and anything similar to that. So is that can be applied to the toothbrush now? Yes. And he says والسواك مستحب في كل حال, to use the siwak, the tree, or even to brush your teeth anytime, it's recommended. ولا يكره تنزيها, and it's not disliked except in one time in the Shafi'i madhab, which is إلا بعد الزوال للصائم, if somebody is fasting and it's afternoon. And why in the Shafi'i madhab? This because the Prophet ﷺ says that the smell that comes from a fasting person after noon is like misk in Allah's sight. So he says, if it's nice in Allah's sight, so you shouldn't be whole. We are not recommended to take it out. That's only in the Shafi'i madhab, by the way. But he says it's mustahab, it's recommended to use the siwak in any time. But he says that Imam al-Nawawi chooses Adam al-Karahat mutlaqan. He says that it's not disliked at all, even for a person who is fasting and he wants to clean his mouth with miswak or the arak. وهو أي سواك في ثلاثة مواضع أشد استحبابا. And it's very recommended. He says it's highly recommended in three positions, 3 times. من غيرها أحدها عند تغير فم من أذى. So when the mouth or the smell, it smells. If there is a disliked smell, so it's very or highly recommended. قيل وهو سكوت طويل وقيل هو ترك الأكل وإنما قال وغيره ليشتمل تغير الفم بغير أذى. So he says it may be the smell, the mouth smells because this person didn't talk for a while, or he didn't eat for a while, or for something, or for other reasons. But still, as soon as there is a smell, bad smell in the mouth, it's recommended to use the miswak. It's highly recommended. I'm sorry, it's highly recommended to use the miswak or to brush your teeth as soon as there is a smell in your mouth. كأكل ذي ريح كريهة من توم وبصل وغيرها. So he says even if somebody eats something that makes smell like that garlic or onion, it's highly recommended to use that toothbrush. And you see, this is 14th centuries ago. And imagine 14 centuries ago, people in Europe and a lot of places, they didn't know anything about cleaning the mouth or the mouth hygiene. And at the time, I remember an incident that one of the battlefield, it was after, it's recommended when people get up, the Muslims, so they started to use the brushing their teeth in the morning, and the enemy thought that they are sharpening their teeth because they are going to eat them. Right. They never seen somebody brushing their teeth. Right. And he says, وَالثاني, the second time, عند القيام, when you wake up. So if you wake up from sleep, this is highly recommended to use the miswak or to brush your teeth. And the third one, and he says, وَالثالث عند القيام إلى الصلاة, and when you start to pray, when you are getting up to pray. So before the prayer. فرضا أو نفلا, whether it's obligatory prayer or recommended prayer. ويتأكد أيضا في غير الثلاثة المذكورة مما هو مذكور في المطولات كقراءة القرآن واصفرار الأسنان. The Sheikh here is explaining more, and he says that it's actually, there are other times more than these 3 that it can be highly recommended to use the miswak or to brush your teeth, like when it's you are about to read Quran, or if your teeth are yellow, so it's way or highly recommended. ويسن أن ينوي بالسواك السنة وأن يستاك بيمينه ويبدأ بالجانب الأيمن من فمه وأن يمره على سقف حلقه مرارا لطيفا وعلى كراسيه الراسي. So this book what we were reading is around 1,000 years old. So just see what the Shaykh says here. He says, and it's recommended to have the intention to use the miswak or to brush your teeth to follow the Prophet, so you can get sunnah. It's not because you want to just only have a good hygiene, but also to follow the Prophet. And he says it's sunnah or recommended to use to have the toothbrush or the miswak in your right hand, and to start with the right side from the mouth, and to clean also the roof of your mouth as well. And he says like to gently do it, or to gently have the brush goes and in the cavity of your mouth. And on all the teeth and the more. Okay, so for today we end it until the wudu. Now, like next class inshallah or next week, we're gonna talk about the furud al-wudu, the pillars of wudu. What is the pillar that we have to do to make wudu properly and our wudu is valid? And if we miss any of these things, it's invalid. So inshallah next class we're talking about wudu. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد ان لا اله الا انت نستغفرك ونتوب